Hello viewers and welcome to this episode of Health Business. My name is Oluwatoyin Kolaole. On this program, we give you health information that make you live a more healthier life.
Government, public and private sector must work together to improve on tuberculosis and HIV prevention and care building models for the future. This was the thrust of discussion at a training organized by the Lagos State Ministry of Health in partnership with KNCV Netherlands and Farm Access International Amsterdam for private health facilities in Lagos in a bid to provide quality services for Lagosians. The experts noted that all hands must be on deck to identify tuberculosis missing cases, facilitate early diagnosis, enhance early treatment initiation, and bridge the 85% national gap in the TB case notification.
In TB care and prevention. So actually the real title of the project is Improved HIV, TB, HIV Prevention and Care, Building Models for the Future. So we're actually aiming for the future, where TB should be a less menacing disease, that we have decreased numbers of TB patients and actually have indeed improved care and screening and finding the right patients on time.
While commending the partners for a good job, Director of Disease Control, Lagos State Ministry of Health, Dr. Eniola Enriosho, says the state government is determined to achieve a TB-free state.
The Lagos State government, we have been having collaboration with our partners over the years, and we have actually introduced high technology. That's the kind of high-tech means of making diagnosis of tuberculosis, and the name of that machine is called Gene Expert machine. Our partners are provided. So we are also putting in our budget to 2018 to see that as a state government, we also take ownership. So we intend to procure more of these machines so that we can make adequate diagnosis of tuberculosis. And once we make the diagnosis, we have all the drugs that we need for treatment. The drugs are available, the treatment is free, the diagnosis is free. So nobody is going to pay any money for managing tuberculosis in Lagos State.
Participants were given certificate of attendance, and the best 10 performing hospitals and DOTS providers of quality TB health services were awarded with plaques and gift items. It is hoped that this project will contribute towards detecting the missing TB cases in Lagos State, as well as overcome the barriers to accessing TB care services.
On the program this morning, we'll be focusing on skin bleaching. Why do some people bleach their skin? What are the dangers of skin bleaching? Our expert on the program this morning will shed light on all this. Stay tuned. I mentioned earlier that our focus on health business this morning is skin bleaching, and I'm now being joined by a public health practitioner and a cosmetologist, Dr. Chidima Okafor. You're welcome on the program.
Thank you, ma'am.
So let's go on. What exactly is skin bleaching?
Well, skin bleaching is any attempt at using any product or chemical. It could be cream, it could be soap, to lighten the skin. Therefore, moving it from what it was originally to another shade, or using those products to achieve an even skin tone. For those who have like patches of colors, like dark mixed with fairer complexion, they would want to use this product to even out their skin tone. So any attempt at doing that is what we regard as skin bleaching.
As a public practitioner, where do you think people that bleaches are more predominant?
Let me start by saying that issues surrounding skin bleaching has a lot to do with history, and it's found mostly in areas where the blacks are colonized by the whites, especially the Europeans. So it brings us to this yearning for whiteness, wanting to be like our colonial masters. So in other words, we can find them in Africa, you can find them in the Caribbeans, you can find them in the mixed black in the Europe. You can also find them mostly people in Jamaica too. The West Africans, yes, are those who bleach a lot. Then I will say that they are common amongst women, although we know that men from certain geographical areas have also joined this societal problem. Again, children also have been adopted into this practice by their parents. We're also talking about the age range between the teenage age to at least 50 amongst the women. So these are the categories of people that actually indulge in skin bleaching, and the quest is always for societal attraction, the quest to want to belong, you understand, wanting to be seen as if you were not being seen before.
Okay, this next question is something I normally and usually ask myself, and up till now I still have not gotten an answer to it. Why do you think people engage in bleaching? Why do you think people go into bleaching?
Wow, there are lots of issues why people bleach. We're talking about evidence-based. Research has proven it. That has to do with self-esteem. People thinking that if they don't belong to this shade of color, they cannot be noticed by the society. Again, let's say that WHO, World Health Organization, has already said that part of the reasons why people bleach and want to increase their attraction, so it makes them more desirable by men. Then the men are also not helping the issues. There's this quest for wanting the people who are fair. In fact, some men will even tell you that the lighter the better, because when you put a lady that has a lighter skin color in front of your car, it's as if the sun is shining right in front of the car. So another reason why people do is also because they believe that anything that has to do with the fair skin, the light skin, attracts a lot of money. We're talking about job, advertisement, and so on. And then the media as well. We all know how they overflog the people with fair skin. For almost all the adverts, they are showing the lighter skin color. So these are the many reasons. And people also have come to believe that those who are fair are more intelligent and successful in the society. So these are the various reasons why women actually indulge in skin bleaching.
Moving on the program, as a doctor, what are the dangers of skin bleaching?
Okay. There are lots of dangers in skin bleaching. The dangers could range from acute, which is immediate dangers, to the long-standing one, which are the chronic ones. The immediate dangers could be like skin irritations, inflammation of the skin in form of dermatitis, rashes, and so on. Some of these could be as a result of the reaction of the skin, reaction of the sun on the skin that is exposed. Now let me also say that when one indulges in skin bleaching, and we're talking about things like chemicals like hydroquinone, which are contained in this product, hydroquinone, mercury, and corticosteroids. What actually happens is that they prevent the production of that natural pigment that the skin comes with, which is called melanin. Now, melanin is the best form of sunscreen the skin, especially those in the tropical zone, comes from. So in other words, when this melanin is inhibited, what happens is that the direct effect of the sun descends on the skin, and the result are the irritation, the skin rashes, and so on and so forth. Things like corticosteroids, when used on the face, what they do is that they block up the pores. And what do you have? You have things like bleach, what we call bleach acne. So no wonder people who actually bleach break out in pimples rather than not. Do you understand? So we call it bleach acne. So these are the acute manifestations of bleaching, some of the acute manifestations of skin bleaching. When we talk about the chronic ones, we're talking about things like from mercury, intoxication, we're talking about the kidney problems, the failures, the kidney failures, the liver failures, depression, this tingling sensation and numbness all over the legs or the hands. We're talking about the blood cancers, the skin cancers. These are the things we're talking about when we talk about the long-standing inability for wounds to heal, because by the time the outer covering of the skin is removed by bleaching, it's extremely difficult to heal. Then we're talking about things like infertility. A lot of women today are not able to have children, and research has also shown that infertility is also a problem of skin bleaching, because when these chemicals enter into the body, they distort the hormonal balance of the female reproductive system. So these are some of the side effects, but there are lots, a whole gamut of side effects. We're talking about hypertension, we're talking about diabetes, we're talking about Cushing's syndrome, we're talking about long-standing stretch marks that may eventually never go out. We're talking about this permanent darkening of the body because of the effect of the sun on the chemicals on the skin that may never be reversed. I want to also add that there are so many ways beyond this bleaching that any woman can actually restore her skin. I'm sorry I use that word restore, because I will explain further when I go into skin brightening. Things within our reach. We're talking about good sleep. We're talking about drinking a lot of water. We're talking about eating the right vegetables and fruits. We're talking about exercise. These are the things that will make you look younger, your skin looks supple, and you glow whenever anybody sees you. You're in your radiance. Then aside from all this, I also want to say, bring in the concept of skin brightening is a term that is entirely different from skin lightening. In skin brightening, what are we talking about? Usually the skin rejuvenates every 30 days. The cells wear off every 30 days. So no little wonder when you see all these young girls that are still in their puberty, their skin actually reflects the sun when it shines on it. And you can see the glowy nature of their skin. Now, as one advances in age, it extends from 28 days to 40 days. So little wonder we see the often dull appearance. But the key here is exfoliation. What is exfoliation? Using all those gritty things within our reach. We're talking about things like manuka honey. We're talking about rice bran. We're talking about sugar. We're talking about salt. Beyond this, we have other things like the exfoliates. We have what we call the chemical exfoliates. We're talking about the alpha hydroxy acids. We're looking at the mandelic acid, the lactic acid, the glycolic acid, the tartaric acid, and the citric acid. They are available and they are entirely harmless to the body. They can also be used to rejuvenate the skin. We also have the beta hydroxy acids. We're talking about azelaic acid and the salicylic acid. Beyond all this, I've talked about vitamin C. Vitamin C is perfect and excellent. By taking it or by using it to rub on the skin in these products, you can achieve a perfect glow on the skin. Vitamin C works by increasing the collagen production, as well as increasing the enzyme, the antioxidant called glutathione, which actually improves the appearance of the skin. So these are some of the natural ways you can actually enhance the beauty of your skin.
I heard that you have this foundation that corrects the impression of skin bleaching. Can you just share it with us?
Our foundation is called Beauty in Black Foundation. The name came up actually to correct the impression of skin bleaching. This impression, this widely acclaimed impression that you need to lose your blackness for a fairer skin to be somebody in this society. Now, in Beauty in Black Foundation, we want to promote the image of the women of color. We are targeting. Our main target is to promote the black skin. We want to tell every woman, in whatever shade you come from, that you are as beautiful as you were made. that there's no difference between the fair one and the lighter one. So we celebrate all women in their various shades of color. We also appreciate the inner beauty, which is what is even more important than the physical beauty that we see in every woman. So in other words, in Beauty in Black, we are looking at improving, we are looking at restoring, we are looking at enhancing the self-confidence of every woman, regardless of your skin color, without losing your self-esteem and standing out for what you are in the society.
So finally, what would be your advice to people that bleaches their skin and for those that even aiming to go into bleaching?
Let me start by saying that we have two categories of people in the world. We have people who live in the tropics and we have people who live in the temperate region. We live in the tropics, and the tropics is actually dominated by the effect of the sun. So that's why we have melanin, and melanin is what is responsible for our skin color. The best form of sunscreen anybody can have is melanin, because melanin reduces the effect of the sun on our skin. Why those in the temperate region? Because they are not exposed to the hazards of the sun. They don't have as much melanin. That is one. So based on that, I will tell every woman, especially women of color like I, like you, that the black skin is extremely healthy and beautiful. So I want to discourage all of us that skin bleaching is not good, that black is extremely beautiful. So therefore we should parade ourselves. We must be us, have our self-confidence. It does not reduce our self-worth, regardless of what our color is. We are all the same everywhere.
Well, it has been so nice having you on Health Business this morning. I'm sure our viewers must have picked one or two informations concerning skin bleaching and why they need to stay off skin bleaching. Thank you so much for being on the program this morning.
Thank you.
Well, that has been Dr. Chidima Okafor educating us on the dangers of skin bleaching. Next on the program is the pharmacy segment. Don't go away.
The discovery of insulin and penicillin by Frederick Burton and Alexander Fleming, respectively, in the 1920s marked the beginning of modern pharmaceutical industry that has not only become a major contributor to national economies around the world, but has continued to help in safeguarding the health of the populace. Industrial pharmacy is an area of pharmaceutical specialization in creating drugs and medications. Industrial pharmacists are responsible for determining if medications developed by pharmaceutical companies have both the right ingredient and the correct amount of this ingredient. With the growing incidence of distribution and sale of counterfeit and substandard drugs in Nigeria, there is urgent need, more than ever before, to increase the tempo and sustain the process of drug quality control. But what and how exactly do industrial pharmacists engage in quality control of medical consumables in Nigeria?
Quality is not assured at the end of the product manufacture. It's built into it. You don't ensure quality, you assure it, and that's why through every step you take, the raw materials, the way you handle it, how you manufacture it, how you test after manufacture to make sure that it's of good quality is important. This includes the storage and handling of the products from when we manufacture to when it gets to those who are responsible to hand it over to the consumers. So we ensure that they are there to proper storage conditions for the vehicles they use and for the warehouse where the products are stored. Beyond this, we also ensure that we monitor how consumers react to some of these products. This is what we call post-marketing surveillance, to ensure where they develop any untoward effect, we document and all that. These are all the things we do to ensure that quality is built into the product.
Of course, since the industry makes the products, so definitely from the upper level, we take responsibilities for
ensuring that only quality products leave the factory, and of course the government agencies are there to ensure that. However, on our own, our industry in Nigeria is self-regulated also. We have very high standards that we strive to maintain, which is even higher than what the NAFDAC, the PCN, are calling for, so that we automatically meet their own standard.
These pharmacists agree that the pharmaceutical industry in Nigeria currently operates under challenging business environment with the attendant limitations in the effort of operators to maximize the full potentials readily available in this important health subsector.
Of course, is enormous. We have to import almost all the raw materials. That means we have to depend and make sure that we're able to source from countries where you have better quality, okay? And then also that means cost. That means more funding. And without saying that, at interest rates hovering at above 23% commercial rate, that obviously is a big challenge, for the local firms, as it were. And the other opportunities are always there, but then you have to look at the risk of benefit to be able to see how best to be able to play. Because at the end of the day, profit is ultimate. You still have to deliver profit to stakeholders. Profit to the person in the medicine is getting well, whereas profit to the owner of the business is making real profit, as it were.
Through every step you take, the raw materials, the way you handle it, how you manufacture it, how you test after manufacture to make sure that it's of good quality is important. This includes the storage and handling of the products from when we manufacture to when it gets to those who are responsible to hand it over to the consumers. So we ensure that they adhere to proper storage conditions for the vehicles they use and for the warehouse where the products are stored.
Access to low-interest funding is another major constraint being encountered by operators to increase and improve capacity of pharmaceutical companies to operate effectively and also compete favorably with their counterparts in other parts of the world.
We have to import almost all the raw materials. That means we have to depend and make sure that we're able to source from countries where you have better quality, okay? And then also that means cost. That means more funding. And without saying that, at interest rates hovering at above 23% commercial rate, that obviously is a big challenge.
The pharmacist, however, pointed out that for industrial pharmacists to deliver what is expected of them in diligent manners, the government has an important role to play in facilitating investment in the sector. They are of the opinion that if the country is willing to harness the huge potentials that abound in the sector, there is no better time than now for government to create an enabling environment for pharmaceutical industry to thrive and contribute its quota to national development.
It's now time to join Dr. Abayomi Ajayi on understanding infertility.
Welcome to Understanding Infertility. My name is Dr. Abayomi Ajayi. And today we're going to try to discuss something very, very interesting. I'm sure you know it's no longer news that we can have babies from IVF. Over 6 million babies have been gotten from this process all over the world. But what everybody is now focusing on is that we want to have healthy babies from IVF. When I say healthy, what I mean is that babies that are free from genetic diseases that even their parents are carrying. And that is what we're going to be discussing today. PGD, PGS, pre-implantation genetic diagnosis and pre-implantation genetic screening. Now, there's a small difference between them. As we go along, you'll be able to understand what I'm talking about. The thing is that about birth defects are commoner than we imagined. About 1 in 20 pregnancies will have birth defects. But some couples, you will agree with me, are more risk than the other, especially those when the two of them are what we call carriers. The test that we can do in order for us to be able to look at applying genetics, that's what I mean, to IVF, that there's so many tests that we can now do in order to prevent this transmission of genetic diseases. So I'm going to take them stepwise. The test that we can do before conception, the test that we can do, conception is pregnancy, you know that by now. The test that we can do even when the woman is already pregnant, and then of course the test that we can do during IVF treatment, and the test that we can do to understand, for example, if there's been a pregnancy loss. Why did we lose this pregnancy? You know, because many people don't know that, especially in the first 3 months of pregnancy, about 50 to 60% of such embryos are not normal, whether it's from IVF, whether it was done naturally. Now, the other thing to ask me is, why do we need to do this test? Why do we need to look for genetic disorders? The first thing is, when the woman is above 37, we've known that the incidence of genetic disorders increase in a woman above 37. In some other countries, when you are pregnant above that age, the heavens are going to be let loose until they are able to prove that the baby you are carrying is free of genetic disorders. We're not yet there in this country, but we're moving towards it. And I'm sure we'll soon get there, when you have such facilities that we can detect so many congenital abnormalities or many birth defects. They say ignorance is bliss, and many people I hear so many people telling us that congenital abnormalities are not common in this environment. That's not true. The truth is that we're not picking them up enough. The other indication will be for a family that has the history of genetic disorders. For example, the easiest one that I can tell you, like we said, is sickle cell disease. But there are other things. Some people in their family, they carry the gene that causes blindness. In some people, they carry the gene that carries deafness. In some people, it's color blindness, just color blindness. You know, in people who have had recurrent miscarriages, you know, then also there are people that we should start screening them for genetic disorders. You remember I told you that the first 50 to 60% of babies or in the first trimester, the first 3 months, that the reason why they're lost is because of congenital problems, because they're genetic problems. Then in men who have very poor sperm counts, what we call severe oligospermia, and sometimes even endospermia, you know, when we have to go and check sperm for somewhere else, it's good enough for us if we can also do genetic testing. And for some people, it's just because they want a particular gender, what we call gender balancing. They have this number of maybe boys or girls, and they want to have this number. They want the other gender. So it's also for gender balancing, and for people who have had recurrent, what we call recurrent IVF failure. These are people that will benefit from this test that we're talking about. Remember, together we can conquer infertility. My name is still Dr. Bayomi Ajayi. Cheers.
Wow, that has been our package this morning on Health Business. Remember, living healthy is a serious business. My name is Oluwatoyin Kolawole. See you again next week. Bye for now.